Can you stream Discord? All right, we're back here for round 7. A bit of a technical issue, but everything's back in order here. Of course, we missed a bit. Ben Skinner's now down to P9, I believe, after a spin that was caught off camera. Also, Gutierrez down in P11. But currently, Maggio leads with Kenneth Rosing, the debutant today, in P2, and Tina Curtis up in P3.
Yeah, we're not really sure what exactly happened while we were off air. We can only estimate, but Ben Skinner and Gutierrez, Philip Chowinski as well, all big losers while we were off air. Chowinski down from P3 to P6, Skinner down from 1st to 9th, and Gutierrez down to P11. Brandon Tenorio, I think at one point was also up to P7, I want to say, but is now back down to P12. Lana Rahim, back down to P13. As we said, he wasn't really able to hold on to P10 for long. But one thing that's nice to see, at least for now, Kenneth Roting on his OWSS debut is P2.
Yeah, it's an amazing start for him. Someone's just in the grass there. I think that's Kenneth Roting. But he is running P2. I mean, he's still 5 seconds off Maggio, but for a first time running, it's looking very, very good for the Belgian driver here.
I
but
think
Tina Curtis is right behind him.
Yeah, apologies, I thought you were. But yeah, I think the goal for Roting today is, I think he knows he isn't able to contest Maggio for the lead, and I think he's content with P2, especially on his debut. I think his goal, or at least if I were him, my goal would be to try and keep a safe distance from Tina Curtis and get some good points both for myself on debut and for the team as well that you are reserving for KKR Racing. And I think even with Ben Skinner down in P9 now, after having overtaken Nova McKenna, I think KKR would do really, really well with those points. I will just check to be sure. I think this would put KKR up into first. No, not quite. Team Italia are 57 points ahead.
Yeah,
although
Team
this
Italia
is
just...
no apologies. This still hasn't accounted for the rounds at Nogaro and OWSS, so the team standings are currently out of date. So I'm unsure as to how big the gap between Team Italia and KKR is, but I think this will definitely help KKR catch up at least the slightest bit to Team Italia if there is still a championship to fight for coming into the final round at Brands Hatch.
Yeah, while we're talking about this, Chowinski is about to make a move here on Terzoli for P5, going to the outside here for the chicane. Trying to see if he can stick it around there. Decides against it. Going for the switchback if it's there. Going to the inside now. He's made it there side by side into the next corner. I think Chowinski may just be able to take P5 away from Terzoli. Terzoli holding it on there on the outside. Still trying to keep it in. Now into the left-hander, still side by side. Terzoli dives it down, trying to take the position, but Chowinski's having a none of it. And they're still going side by side here for basically half the lap. And finally, Chowinski gets the move done on Terzoli. And that's him back up into P5.
That was a very, very good battle between Chowinski and Terzoli. And yeah, I think McKenna Racing will also be very well chuffed with this, as we see.
Oh,
we did see some yellow flags in Sector 2 earlier.
That's Brendo Tenorio with no front wing.
Brendo Tenorio.
Gonna have to get a replay of that one. Brendo Tenorio here, down in P12. Let's see what happened here. Just spinning out at the end of the chicane and into the wall. That's a hard hit.
It is a hard hit. He got on the throttle a bit too early and just didn't do anything. He didn't hold the brakes until it was too late, and even then, once he did hold the brakes, he was already on the grass, and that's hard to stop a car at that point. Unfortunate for Brando Tenorio, but at the same time, that is his error, objectively speaking. I just see Lana
Yeah.
Raheem in the pit lane as well. Do you wonder what's happened to him? Whether
Yeah,
we
he's
will
been
be
in the pit
seeing him.
lane. He's been in the pit lane for a long time, so I think he's just he's
Oh.
back out the pits now. So could have been some damage
And that was
from
right
earlier,
before
but
he was lapped by Brando Tenori as well, so he's safe for
yeah.
now.
Tina Curtis has caught up to Kenneth Rosing. They're now 5/10 between the two drivers, compared to 1 second that we saw a little bit earlier. Kenneth going a bit wide there. This may allow Tina Curtis to catch up and possibly make a move coming up in the next few laps.
I think the point where Rating loses the most time compared to Curtis is Sector 2, because I think, well, either that or it might just be tire wear, but I think we've seen Curtis catch up to Rating most of the time in Sector 2 and then lose quite a bit of that gap in Sector 3 again, and somewhat in Sector 1, as I see Gutierrez and Skinner, I think that is, battling for
That's
P9.
McKenna.
Oh, that's
I
McKenna, my
believe that's
apologies.
McKenna.
That's
Yeah.
battle for P10, not P9. And Noah McKenna is looking to get that position back. I think we've seen Gutierrez there make an overtake. And a bit wide there from Noah McKenna, but carries more speed into the chicane. Closes up to Gutierrez now, and there might be a move on here into turn 1. Gutierrez closes down the inside. McKenna will have to take the outside route here into turn 1. And she just might make it stick, not quite, but she's still alongside, just barely. And Izan Gutierrez still just edges out in front, and as it stands, Gutierrez still keeps P10. Very good racing there from both.
Yeah, they've been battling here for the last few laps. Of course, earlier last lap we saw them side by side with Nova McKenna going a bit wide. Well, not a bit, a lot. But Tina Curtis has just
Oh, I
moved up
see.
to P2.
Kenneth dropped down.
Kenneth Rosing has dropped down to P4, I believe, after surely a spin. We can get a replay on that, but Kenneth Rosing down to P4, 16 seconds off the top. Here's the replay here for Kenneth Rosing's error, I would assume. Into the right-hander, very wide onto the gravel, and spins out in front of Tina Curtis. Wow. Very lucky to not get hit by Tina Curtis there. And has to rejoin down in P4. Not a great way to continue this race, but he's still running P4, which isn't bad. But here's Terzoli here coming for the move on Cherwinski. Cherwinski trying to defend from Terzoli here onto the main straight. Terzoli looking for the better run to turn 1, and with the slipstream, he might be able to make some sort of move here into turn 1.
I'm not quite certain that Terzoli will be able to pull off a move here into turn 1. However, he might be looking to set himself up for turn 3. Doesn't look like he has, though. He hasn't carried as much speed, and because he has braked earlier for turn 3 than Cherwinski has. And this is a bit of a twisty section. So, unless there's a mistake, as I was about to say, by Cherwinski, Terzoli might not be able to do something here. And as I say that, Cherwinski did have a bit of a slide, and he still managed to keep in front of Mauro Terzoli.
Yeah, Terzoli still bearing down on Cherwinski to see if he can make some sort of move on him. But Cherwinski, even with that mistake, is still holding on strong here for P5. Going into this last sector 2. But yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, there's only 3 laps left to go for Mauro Terzoli to try and pull off a move on Filip Cherwinski. I am curious to see whether there's any more battles. I think there might be a battle between the two Dalbon Motorsports cars, although very unlikely. I think that Junior and Kanda would rather not risk this chance to get some good points for the team after the first time in a while that both cars have attended the race. Although saying that, we do see Ben Skinner slowly creeping up on Shimon Kanda. And I think that's something we should look forward to in these closing laps as well. But I would like to go back to the battle between Terzoli and Cherwinski. Terzoli not quite there yet, as we see yellow flies in sector 1! And I think that was Kenneth Rosing
again.
Kenneth Rosing with another mistake and a very, very dangerous rejoin there. Fortunately enough, didn't collect anyone. But very unfortunate for Kenneth Reuting there, the debutant today, dropping down from P2 to P6 in a matter of 2-3 laps. And he just carried too much speed, lost control of the car, and, well, he did stop initially, but I don't know.
I mean, he was outside the white lines technically, but the way he was moving definitely would scare some drivers.
I mean, at the first, he did hold his brakes.
Yeah.
And then when he saw that Chavinsky and Tazzoli were not close enough, he started slowly rolling, but he still kept outside of the tarmac part of the track. As we see, yellow flags in sector 2.
Oh, the teammates.
Junior.
Oh, contact!
As a
Oh.
Well, that's just a jinx, isn't it? I've talked about Kanda and Junior potentially not risking a fight between each other to try and get some good points for the team. And as I say that, on the final lap no less, or well, lap 12 out of 13 for them as they haven't crossed the line yet, there's a collision and they both lose some valuable points places. And Ben Skinner now just breezes past them on the outside and gets 2 positions in 1 corner. And that's going to be crucial for KKR Esports as well, as you see Shimon Kanda cutting the course a bit there. And
here's the replay though. Simon Kanda just all out of sorts and kind of he's just
looked like to me from that point of view that Kanda didn't particularly brake in time, but at the same time Junior, knowing that Kanda is there, turned in like he really wasn't there. So that's something definitely that the stewards will need to put some investigation into.
Yeah, I would think from Junior's perspective that he thought Kander would be completely out of the way, and then he would be trying to defend from Ben Skinner possibly, even if he's a bit far back. But here comes Simon Kander once again behind his teammate. Maybe some interesting activities between them coming up soon. Very unfortunate for them, of course. But here comes...
Absolutely, and on this final lap anything can happen, as you see Alessandro Maggio approaching the final section, about to cross the line and win yet another race and close the gap